Hello and welcome again. In the past three lectures, we have been studying about the welding technologies. So, what is welding and related factors and related parameters, related terminologies we have discussed. What are the basic elements? How welding is produced? So, these have been topics of discussion in last three lectures. So keeping continue the welding. Uh, in today's lecture, we'll be discussing more about welding techniques, about welding technologies. So this way, first of all, we have to understand what is weld pool. So as we discussed that we have different, we have three basic elements required for the welding. One is heating. Three different elements we have discussed is one is it must be softened or fused enough so that they are two pieces of weld of joint. So for that we need heating and temperature must be high enough to cause softening. So this way, first element is heating or called Coulson's, heating of fusion or called Coulson's. Second is pressure, and if pressure is not applied, then filler metal must be applied. So these are the three basic elements that are required, that are the requirement of the welding. So after that, we have discussed the filler metal and flexes also. Now we are coming to the weld pool. Weld pool is the space or the place where welding is taking place. Weld pool is basically crate or a crater of a small size crater where the metal is fused, and in this weld pool the metal is slightly molten form and is the not completely molten form but slightly molten form, so that they are fused together, because if they are completely converted to liquid, the welding cannot be done and whole of the part is converted into the liquid. So again this will have to take shape. So the whole metal is not converted into liquid, but the edge where we have to perform a slight space or slight crater is created in order to fuse together, and this is called weld pool. So weld pool is the place where metal is molten and are fused together, and two pieces or two parts are fused together, and this is called weld pool. Dime size workable portion of a weld where the base metal has reached its melting point and is ready to be fused with filler metal. Weld pool is central to the success of welding process. So weld pool is highly complex zone and very complicated place where the all the properties of the weld joints are defined. So weld pool is complex place, complex space where the infusion takes place, and this weld pool definition and weld pool demarcation will put up the welding strength and welding properties of welded joint. So weld pool solidifies to become weld bead, and this is after solidification it becomes weld bead, and weld pool is converted into weld bead when this is hardened. So within no time it becomes hardened, and slightly it is welded, and slightly it takes less time to create a weld pool, and quickly it overcomes and solidifies. So weld pool is the place where the molten metal infuse together, and within seconds or within second it becomes hardened, and so weld pool converts into weld bead called weld bead, or the design that we see on the joining of the two parts. So this is called weld bead. Now we'll be defining different types of welding. So welding, as we discussed, either it needs pressure or it needs filler metal. So if it is pressure, if two pieces are compressed together, the welding process is known as plastic or pressure welding. Plastic or pressure welding. In plastic welding or pressure welding, we fuse two two metals by we fuse two metals by compressing from both the sides, and the joint takes place under plastic deformation. So this is known as plastic or pressure welding, whereas fusion, no pressure is required, and they completely fuse the two metals of both the sides, come to their own and fuse together, but with the additional addition of filler metal. So when I discussed, when uh, pressure is not applied, so another metal is introduced in order to fill the gap between, because there is slight gap between two fusing metals. So this gap is filled up by an additional metal called filler metal, and this filler metal forms a bond with both the two parent metals, and this way there is a joint between two parent metal. So this is called fusion welding, in which we don't apply pressure, but we apply uh, an additional filler metal. So this is called fusion, plastic or pressure welding under pressure without addition of filler metal, and fusion, no pressure is required, but with the addition of filler metal. So in both the cases, heat is created. Heat is basic requirement. So for that, we have to understand that how heat can be created. So heat created by, in plastic or pressure welding, heat is created by blacksmith fire, electric current, chemical reaction. Blacksmith fire, that means uh, blacksmith fire, that means we have to create the fire as a blacksmith does, normal lohar does. So that way, what he do, what he does, he uh, has a furnace, and this furnace he create heat, and this heat is utilized for fusion or pressure, for fusion or uh, combining two metals. So in blacksmith fire, forge welding will be discussing how heat, along with, when we'll discuss forge welding, we'll be discussing how heat is combined with pressure in order to produce blacksmith joint. So this is the forge welding we'll be discussing. So now come to the electric current, heat created by electric current, resistance welding. So resistance welding, as we know, heat is produced in a circuit, and that is given by H equals I square RT, where I is the current, R is the resistance, and T is the temperature. So this is H equals, sorry, time, C T is for time. H equals I square RT is time, current, resistance, and time. So H equals I square RT. Heat is produced in accordance with this formula, H equals I square RT. So the heat is produced, and at the same time a pressure is applied. Heat is produced by the electric resistance, and at the same time a pressure is applied, and a combination of heat and pressure will solidify, will make a joint, and this is created by electric current. So another type of heat created is electric current. One other type is, first type is blacksmith fire, as we normally do in furnace. Then second is electric current. Then chemical reactions are there. So in chemical reactions, we mix two chemicals, and two chemicals are such that there is an exothermic reaction, and this exothermic reaction takes place, and this way heat is produced, and this heat is utilized at as coalescence. As we discussed earlier, coalescence is the heat of fusion, or the basic heat that is required for welding. So coalescence is produced by chemical reaction also. So these are the three types of basic heat created in plastic or pressure welding. Another type we discuss fusion, where we don't apply pressure, but at the same time we apply filler metal or extra metal, that combines with both the parent metals. In this fusion welding, heat is produced, or heat of coalescence is produced by gas, electric arc, and chemical reactions. Again, so gas is, because we don't have to apply pressure, so we can produce heat by gas, because we don't need pressure. Then we can produce heat by electric arc, and then again chemical reactions, exothermic reactions are there, where we apply where we apply the heat produced by the chemical reaction, exothermic reactions. we'll be discussing. So in gas welding, we have oxyacetylene gas, air acetylene gas, and other types of gas, methane, ethane, oxy, other fuel gas. That means methane is combined with the oxygen and then they are burned. So this way we have different gases burning in the presence of oxygen or acetylene, because burning is possible only when the oxygen is present. So either it could be oxygen itself or air acetylene, oxygen acetylene, and other fluorocarbons are hydrocarbons are uh, fuel are used in presence of oxygen, because of course oxygen is required for burning. So gas welding we have mainly welding. We'll be discussing oxyacetylene welding in detail, and then we'll come to electric arc welding. Electric arc welding is another very important welding that we have to discuss. And yesterday in our last lecture we discussed how arc is produced. And third is chemical reaction. These are very simple and basic types of heat generating exothermic reactions, where two chemicals are mixed together and heat uh, is evolved by chemical reaction. Is these exothermic reactions are these exothermic reactions are utilized for creating heat, and this heat is utilized for pulses. So in arc welding we have different types of arc welding: metal arc welding, carbon arc, tungsten arc, argon arc, submerged arc, and atomic hydrogen welding. So we'll be discussing all arc welding in detail, uh, along with the construction and equipment that we are using. So arc welding are very important, and we'll be discussing. So this was about classification of welding and how heat is generated and what are different types of uh, welding, pressure welding and fusion welding. Now this you can see arc welding. Upon classification of welding processes, arc welding we can see arc welding: carbon, metal inert, tungsten, TIG, MIG, plasma, submerged, electroslide. All we are not going to discuss, but five we'll be discussing: one, two, three, four, and submerged arc. These are important: one, two, three, four, five: carbon, metal inert, tungsten inert, MIG and TIG, and then submerged arc. Electroslag and plasma are not important and not asked, so we are not going to discuss plasma arc and electroslag welding. In gas welding, most important oxyacetylene, we'll be discussing oxyacetylene welding. In resistance welding, all we'll be discussing all the five types of butt, spot, seam, projection, percussion. So in thermit welding, we'll be having discussions. Solid state welding, we discussed friction, ultrasonic, diffusion explosives, all these. And newer welding, that is the latest techniques or high energy rate performance, that is called electron beam, laser beam, and related processes are the also considered, like brazing and soldering we'll be discussing. So this is, we have earlier discussed classification of manufacturing processes, then joining processes, then welding processes, then five types of joints we have discussed. Now these are the arc welding we have discussed. Electric arc, what is electric arc we have discussed already. And then consumable arc electrode, then non-consumable arc electrode, and arc shielding that we have discussed. So we have earlier discussed when the metal is molten, so it is highly exposed to the oxygen of the environment. So immediately it combines with the oxygen and makes metal dioxide. So here we have to protect the molten metal from the environment. So we protect the whole welding pool from the environment by two types. One is either by covering by an inert gas, or enveloping the whole weld pool by an by a gas, or by uh, any material, inert material, powder material like flux that is used. So this way we can completely shield the molten metal pool from the environment. So we have discussed flux is the powder, or flux is the granular material that is used to envelop to cover the welding pool so that it does not come into contact with the oxygen of the environment, and hence flux is uh, providing three basic factors. One is it protects environment, it protects the welding pool, then stabilizes arc and reduces spattering. We'll be discussing spattering later on, but right now the role of flux is has three factors, and we'll be discussing one by one. Flux application method: pouring granular flux onto the welding operation, and as we told that electrode is covered with a material and that melts and create an inert environment all over the welding pool. So also discuss direct current and alternating current. Now this is the most important current. This is the most important topic of arc welding. This is often asked either in practical, either in workshop or in the paper, that what is direct polarity and what is reverse polarity. This the polarity is very simple, but we have to understand, we have to listen carefully that there are two uh, two terminals of battery. One is positive terminal, another is negative terminal. And when negative terminal is connected with the electrode, when terminal is connected with the electrode, and positive terminal is connected with the metal, and positive terminal is connected with the metal, so this is called, this arrangement is known as direct polarity. Direct polarity, because metal is to be connected with metal is to be connected, and the welding, the joint we have to weld is to be connected, and at the same time electron is to be connected, because if these two are not connected there will be no current, and if there is no current, arc cannot be created. So for creating arc we have to connect the metal with the positive terminal and electrode with the negative terminal. This is called direct polarity, or direct straight polarity, or direct current electrode negative. In this way, we can see electrode is made negative. So this can be asked: what is straight polarity, or direct polarity, or DCEN? So we don't have to be confused with the terminologies. We must understand that when the negative terminal is connected with the electrode, it is known as DCN, or straight polarity, or direct polarity. And reverse polarity is when the terminals are interchanged. So in that case, the negative terminal is connected with the metal or work or job, and the positive terminal is connected with the electrode. So this is called reverse polarity, or electrode positive, DC, direct current electrode positive, and or reverse polarity. So in reverse polarity, the electrode is connected to the positive and but to the negative terminal of the power source. This is called electrode reverse polarity, or inverse polarity, or DCEP. So the question arises, why this arrangement is disturbed? Why not always direct polarity? So the answer is simple. When the electrode is connected with the negative terminal or anode, simply a flow of electrons come at this place. Flow of electrons is released from the electrode at a very high speed, and this high speed is striking at the joint or the metal. So this way is creating high heat, and high heat, that how much? That means at anode 2 by 3 of the heat is 2 by 3 of the total heat is generated at the metal. 2 by 3 of the total heat, that means 67% heat is generated at the joint, whereas 33% heat is generated at the electrode. Whereas 33% heat is generated at the electrode, and the high heat is generated at the metal. So when the thickness of the job is less, thickness of the job is less, or the metal has low melting temperature. So if we are taking reverse polarity, the job will melt easily and will affect the whole part, and the it will expand to the more region, and rather than this joint, more region will be affected and the adjoining region will be affected. So this will be a big area if the thickness is less, because or the temperature, melting temperature is low, because it will create more heat, and it should also have metal according to heat created. So the metal is not capable of bearing more heat, or it is thick, or it has low melting point. So this way it will generate, it will not be capable of taking extra heat, taking high heat. So what we do, we reverse the polarity, and this way the high heat is generated at the electrode and low heat is generated and low heat is generated at the metal. So this is the way of protecting the metal from the high heat. This is called reverse polarity. This is called reverse polarity, and this is going to protect the metal from the high heat. So this is the answer or reason why the polarity is reversed, so that we understand the high heat, high heat polarity. So with that we understand the direct polarity and the reverse polarity. I hope it's clear now. We'll be talking more about the welding techniques and polarity and etc. All these in our next lecture. For the time being, I am signing off. I again repeat, any problem faced by you or any difficulty in understanding the topics, you may get in touch me at my phone number and WhatsApp number 9069 360 400. I am signing off for the time being. Okay, bye.